Hello everybody and welcome back. It's Jackie and I'm doing an Inspired By today. Another entry from my recent or fairly recent friendship challenge, and this time it's Pene from Tasmania that's come out of the box, and this is Pene sent me a beautiful card with a letter and this pretty tag. Pene makes lovely journals. I was lucky enough to win a journal of Pene's a little while ago now, which you can see further down my timeline. So for the inspiration part of this, I'm going to use buttons, lace, sort of lace, and a vintage photograph. And I'm going to put them together, not to make a tag, I'm going to make a little booklet. I'm trying to make things that I think will be useful and that people will like to receive, and this is what I've come up with. So we've got some lace, some buttons and a vintage photograph. This is a copy of a family photograph, and this is my father and his older brother, taken probably 1924, and it's just a simple little notebook, and I'm going to show you how I put this together. It's quite simple. So I took a sheet of music paper and I tore it in half. This is just from quite a large vintage book of music, and it turns out that it is, let's see, it's 9 inches by 6 inches. So we're going to be, I'm going to leave it at 4.5 inches by 6. And the first thing I did was I wanted to just put a couple of layers on here. So I've got some of this this Tim Holtz tissue wrap paper, collage paper, and I'm going to tear a piece off that'll fit on the front of here. I want it a bit smaller than the front, so I'm just judging it like this. This is not the easiest paper to tear, I have to be honest. It wants to tear quite raggedy down this edge, which I don't mind sometimes, but it's so thin that it so that's that way, and then we'll take a bit off the bottom. Is the way the grain runs, so much easier that way, and a little bit off the top. I'm just double checking, yeah, a little bit off the top, don't take too much. There we go. So that's our tissue piece, and obviously you can still see the music paper through that, so you get the layers. And this is a copy of the photograph. I've printed this onto some semi-gloss photo paper. So what I'm going to do first of all is attach this to this, and I'm going to use glue stick to be gentle with this. Paper is actually quite fragile, and once you get the glue on it, it's even more fragile. But I want to be sure as I can be, that I get glue right on every bit, right to the edges. It's getting quite wet now, so I don't mind if it gets the odd tear in it, but I'm trying to avoid it. Okay, so I want to pop this on here, so I'm just going to pick this up, lay this down pretty centrally, and then just smooth it out from the centre. I don't mind if it gets a few little wrinkles in it. There we go. And I'm just using a bone folder just to make sure that that stretches out that way. And for the photograph, that's going to go on the front there. I want to cut it down a bit. I don't want the white edge, so I'm just going to cut it. This is a little tonic guillotine. And I'm cutting the photograph down. I've eyeballed it, so it's 2 3/8 by 3 3/4. So that'll do for that. I want to ink the edges here. I'm using walnut stain distress ink. You could distress this photograph a lot more, but I'm not going to do that because I want this to be a sort of quick and easy project. I want to mount this photograph on some cream paper to sort of tone in with the rest of this. And I'm going to do some stitching, so I'm not worried about going right to the edge. If you're not going to stitch, you need to go right to the edge on this. Okay, and we just cut that down. And again, just going to go round the edge. Okay, and then before I go any further, I'm going to get this sorted out on here. I want a little bit of, it's not really lace. This obviously it's little boys. Lace would be fine. I haven't got a problem with that, but I did find this little bit of knitted doily, vintage doily. So because they're in knitted jumpers, I don't know if you can see this. Poor little chaps must have been itching like mad, but they've got these knitted shorts, knitted socks, knitted sweaters, knitted jumpers, and there are 3 little buttons on the shoulders. So hopefully they weren't stretched too tightly over their heads, poor chaps. I can't imagine their mother, my grandmother, being too careful. I imagine they had to wear what they were told. She was a strong-minded woman, shall we say. So this is going to go along the bottom. So I'm going to cut it off here and here, as straight as I can. Okay, so that's just going to sit at the bottom there. I shall stretch it out slightly. And what I'm going to do is tack this down. Using art glitter glue. And that's going to stick on there. So what I'm going to do off camera is use my sewing machine. Oh, get back in there. Use my sewing machine, and I'm going to zigzag round this photograph, and then I'll come back and show you the next bit.